Kylian Mbappe is in town. England against France. We are talking about the preview in a separate video. This is all about Kylian Mbappe. And really, the story and the caption and the answers we need is all about how to stop Kylian Mbappe. Poland couldn't do it. Scored 2 wonderful goals. 2 very different finishes. You don't agree with the wonderful goals?
Lovely goals, but I don't want to compare England to Poland. Poland were terrible this World Cup, no.
Poland were terrible.
They were shocking. They actually annoyed me more than any other team. But I know this
Apart from Switzerland, come on.
No, Poland annoyed. The way they went through the group, it's a Kylian Mbappe video, but it really aggravated me.
I know what you mean.
Poland.
I know what you're talking about.
Maybe we chat about it on a separate.
Yeah, we'll do
I feel like you really
Should we
need
chat
to
about
talk
that
about it.
afterwards? I watched all of the Poland games. I was like, why am I doing this to myself?
They did not show any intent.
Anyway, Kylian Mbappe. We've got a midfield 3. That means we need someone to man mark him. I expect that should be Henderson. And that's how you do it. However, also, if you look at how Declan Rice has been able to intercept key moves, he's got something 2 interceptions per 90 and reading the game and chopping up the attacks. Then I believe that it will be absolutely fine and Kylian Mbappe will just be like, I'm going home.
Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, because hopefully he goes home and we bring football home. But I just don't know if there is an answer to that question. I don't think you do stop him. I think we're looking at a player who is a phenom. We said it last week. He's a combination of so many different players. He's Thierry Henry with R9 with a bit of Cristiano Ronaldo. And when Ronaldo and Messi were in their prime, there wasn't a way to stop them. You just try to limit their chances and hope they didn't score when they did get their few chances. Unfortunately for me, and I know what this guy's going to say because he's been a huge proponent of a certain tactical formation for England, but if you were in that school of thought of maybe slowing down Mbappe, then you might have to go with a back 5. Just to double up on that hand side. You have Kyle Walker either playing on the left side or the right side of a back 3, and then you have a right wing back as well. You can switch it around, but maybe having 2 players to occupy the position that normally 1 player would if you play the back 4 is probably your best chance of slowing down Kylian Mbappe, but I don't think that's what England should be worrying about. I think that we should give France things to worry about in terms of what our attacking players can do.
That's an interesting theory. The second part I don't agree with. I think when you look at Kylian Mbappe, and the reason we can talk about him as a player for days and days is because of how good he is compared to everyone else. If you look at that France side, they've got world-class players in every single position, pretty much. Obviously, maybe minus 1 or 2. But then everything still runs through him. And that's where you go, that's how good he is, that he's the best player in a brilliant team. And that's why the focal point needs to be on him and how England can deal with him. My thing with the sort of debate about back 5 or not, let's say England play a back 4 because that is the general belief that England should play a back 4. Still not my belief. But that means Walker will go head-to-head against Mbappe. Now, Walker had problems against Ismail Assar, and I do have a slight fear that that yard of pace that he's had is sort of wilting a little bit, but he comes up against the fastest, probably the most clinical tournament player in Kylian Mbappe that I've seen in God knows how long. That poses a very interesting problem for Kyle Walker if it is 1v1.
Yeah. I mean, Kylian Mbappe is, without question, the best player in the world right now.
Ooh, without question.
Without question. Don't start questioning.
I agree.
Do you actually?
I do agree.
I thought you were going to launch into another messy soliloquy there.
No, he is actually the best player in the world. And it's so interesting to see him ascend to that level at a major tournament when everyone points to World Cups as being the pinnacle of football, and the fact that he has delivered at the 2 World Cups he's been at has been incredible to watch, and he is actually the best.
He's probably the best tournament footballer because of his style of play. He sort of like reserves his energy for a moment. He's clinical in front of goal. He's got so many different types of finishes. He's then got Giroud and Dembele and Griezmann who we have to talk about because they complement him.
Yeah. Which is a mad thing as well if you think about Giroud managing to finally break the goal scoring record despite not having a shot last World Cup, being in the World Cup winning side. I mean, the guy and missing a scorpion kick, which was a shame, I thought, in the group stage. Really just want those to keep coming, you know. He's the highlights reel guy, isn't he? So Giroud is the kind of not a tournament player, but he's the one. He's got such incredible highlights. Mbappe, the fact that they have, it almost feels like, though, given the player that Mbappe has, he could fit into anything. You could fit anyone around him. Yeah. Is that a little bit disrespectful?
I feel though with him, there's like a theory that similar to Messi and Ronaldo that you need players that do certain things for him. And therefore, when you have Griezmann, who sort of does the legwork on that left-hand side, sort of drops into a double pivot at a time, they play Rabiot down that side. Before Rabiot was Matuidi. Anything to accommodate Mbappe, essentially. On the flip side, obviously, you said England should play attacking. Why not play a back five and keep him completely quiet? Because if he doesn't have more than a chance in a game, you give yourself a genuine chance at winning the game.
Because I look at it and obviously Kyle Walker doesn't cancel out Kylian Mbappe, but I think he gives him a difficult time. We saw him do it in the Champions League for Man City against Real Madrid, against Vinicius Jr., who probably the same speed as Mbappe, not as good as Mbappe as a player, but he's probably as quick as Mbappe, and saw Kyle Walker do a fantastic job on him. I'm probably more worried on the other side when I'm looking at Luke Shaw versus Ousmane Dembele. I probably think that's more of an area of concern for England, especially because Luke Shaw doesn't necessarily lack pace, but he's not as quick as Kyle Walker, and he's definitely not as quick as Ousmane Dembele. So there are weapons all around this France side, and I think England are good enough to worry about what they do and worry about imposing their own will on the game to ensure that they get the win in this game, because it's there for the taking. This is this France side that are missing. This is a France side that are missing N'Golo Kante, that are missing Paul Pogba. These are two of the stalwarts of that 2018 World Cup win. England should win the midfield battle, and if you win the midfield battle, you can then start to play with your attackers, and you can then start to make France think about going the other way. So I get it. Moving to a back five is maybe something that Southgate will consider, and I wouldn't be surprised to see England line up in the back five. But back your players to do their jobs and back your attackers to go and cause France problems.
This is too much. This is just too emotional. I can't. The fact, the way you're saying it like that it's just a practical problem to be solved. I mean, I do. Yeah, I'm very much a Gareth Southgate believer in the sense that. Okay, cool. Yeah, I believe that he's got. I know that people have complained about his making tactical switches too late, and I watched the really boring USA game with Sam Allardyce, weirdly enough, and he was just like, it's all taken too long, it's taken too long to make the switches. And I think that is something you could have levelled at him earlier on in his career, Southgate, but at this point it feels like he's solved quite a lot of those conundrums, and he knows the jobs every single one of his players can do, and that gives me great faith. I mean, if you look at what Rashford has been able to do in this tournament, and you look at the kind of relationship, I know this is a bit more like off the pitch kind of fluffy stuff, but it's so bloody important to be able to articulate to a player, this is what I need you to do, and this is what I value in your performance. And Rashford is just one example of someone who's been able to do it. So you're right. Probably concentrate on the attacking. Concentrate on that. What we're good at, England.
I completely agree, and this is how bonkers it is watching England. The USA game, everybody's losing their mind because we're bringing Jordan Henderson off the bench. This is Jordan Henderson, who was captain of the Liverpool team, been one of the best teams in the world for the last 5 years, and we're decrying the fact that he's coming off the bench for England. We have got so much strength and depth, and I can't remember what France player said it, but he said England have got quality and quantity. Yes. The squad depth is incredible. The players that you can bring off the bench is Jack Grealish went for £100 million, and he can't get sniffing in terms of starting for England. This is an England side that have got so much quality and got so much to make France worry about, that I know Kylian Mbappe is the best player in the world and he's a weapon, but we've got weapons of our own. We're going to come on to him. We've talked about him ad nauseum. Jude Bellingham's going to cause them issues. So worry about the Mbappe problem in terms of making sure Kyle Walker does his job, but we've got other things to make France worry about.
To be fair, on the Jordan Henderson thing, people were sketchy because it was taking off Jude Bellingham, which I guess was I couldn't really see it at the time, but I thought that Henderson was the right man to bring on, just because everything was a bit. You just needed someone to organise things a bit better, and as you're saying, he's a guy who absolutely has experience of doing that, Henderson. And also, you can't have sweeties all the time. You can't always have your sweeties. Sometimes you've just got to play out a 0-0 with USA because, frankly, it doesn't matter. England still qualified for the next stage with the best results in the group.
Yeah.
I don't care if Bellingham came off.
I agree.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.